I'm going to make a little video, just real short, continuation on this bear that I show in my other video. I show you kind of detailing. You can see this is all done with the chainsaw. I'm going to show you guys that today. Different techniques that I use with the saw. You can develop your own, but these have been my favorites over the years. What I'm going to do, if you look down the bar, you have, well, if you look at the top of a chain, pretty much you have the edge, the nose of the teeth, that makes one line. Then you have the top of the teeth, that makes another line. That'll be your curve cut, your flat cut. And then you have the other line of the opposing teeth, just the corner of those. And that's what you see when I carve a lot. I do a lot of this. I'm not carving straight on. What that's going to do, that gives you your fur detail. You can use it like up around the edges of the nose too. It looks like I'm going straight in, but what I'm using is I'm kind of holding the bar sideways to that V that I'm cutting, and then I do sideways for the nose, for the front of the nose, and for the insides of the ears. Sideways cut is called a Slough Cut. So I'm just going to show you those two cuts right now. So this is the side. This is just using the corners, the nose of the teeth. One thing that I did not mention here is letting the rotation of the chain help you with that up and down movement. The rotation, you'll feel it when the saw goes in, it'll want to lift up a little bit on the tip of the bar. That definitely helps. You see how I'm moving my hands? Usually that upward motion is pretty much from the saw, from the chain swinging down, and you kind of guide that along with your hands. If I can get this a little bit better picture, when I hold the saw, I kind of have my thumb here on the side, and I move my thumb from the side to the top. And what I'm doing as I'm cutting and pulling, right? I'm kind of applying some pressure here with this part of my hand, but also pinching with the thumb. To try to, you're trying to drag and do this sort of thing, and you can use this hand to steer in. Usually this hand though is just for the balance. It's more to let you pivot the saw. It's more to control that. So that was what I call the sideways cut, and I can show you here on the board a little bit better example of that. You see, it's just the corner. It's just the very bite of the tooth, just that little pointy part. That's why it's important to keep your chain sharp, keep the angles the same, and you know, keep your rakers tuned to just the right point and keep them even too. Now the other cut that I want to show is called the sideways cut, or the slough cut, which is smoothing. You're not digging down, you're going side to side. Now that cut is helpful. That cut is helpful around here, inside here, and for smoothing out. You see in my other video where I come across just real light. You're pretty much holding the saw back. You're just letting those teeth start to bite. It's sort of this one. real light, real gentle touch, and it's just a smoothing cut. You can make it deeper or less. Now even for the eyes, you could do this entire carving with just the saw. You use that corner cut. See, if this weren't plywood and falling apart when I touch it, it would actually make an eye. You can see where just that. See, it's just these light touches and light impressions will give you a world. It'll open up your whole world to. So you can just see where I went in with just the tip of the chain, just the edge of the chain. You see these little bites here. It's very light touches. Take your time. This would be better if the plywood wasn't shattered when you touch it. You can do the eyes that way. Sometimes I do carve the eyes with a saw or even a chisel. You know, you can buy a cheap chisel and get it razor sharp. I've seen many techniques for doing eyes. You don't need an eye tool. They make things a lot faster. Now, in the other video you saw where I clean this with the flame bit. That's just a matter of speed, really. You could do this all with a saw. I used to. All this was done with a saw back in the day when I was, you know, starting out and teaching myself how to do this. I just like the flame bit because the finish is better. It's a little bit faster. The oil takes to it well. Use the eye tool mostly for speed and for a real crisp. It's a real crisp, clean look. When I'm doing 20 or 30 of these bears and I want them all to kind of look like they came from the same thing, that's a quick, easy way to do things. Other than that, I mean, you look at the saws I use. That's a Steel E14, and I took a sprocket from an E10, which I ordered off eBay. I did the same thing on this for the 43 thousandths chain. This is a very common saw. You can get one of these and order the sprocket off eBay, and all you need to do to that sprocket is shave down the height a little bit, so because it will fit the shaft. The shaft has a flat keyway mark on it. That sprocket fits that shaft perfectly on both of these, and then you just need to shorten the height of the sprocket a little bit. You can do that with a belt sander or angle grinder if you're smart about it. And I use this 43 thousandths chain with a stock bar. You don't even need a carving bar. This bar will do pretty much everything that bar will do. But you see all the stuff I've amassed over the years as far as saws and chains and different tools. That just helps me produce faster and more comfortably, because I do this all the time. I do it pretty much every day, 7 days a week. There is a bar that I made myself. I fitted a rim sprocket to this saw. The hub on these saws is a special kind of hub, and it's a real, you can see there is a sprocket I'm working on, experimenting with. It just takes a lot of it takes a lot of time. These Makita Hubs, these two Makitas both have that type of hub on them. This is like a spring-loaded clutch system that lets, when it gets overloaded, it lets the drum spin without spinning the sprocket. I don't really like them. I don't believe that they help much, but if you take all that apart and you turn down that original sprocket so that you can put a rim sprocket over that, you just have to get it even. Those clutch plates will hold that other sprocket on there like I have on this one. But you see here, there's a 210, steel MS 210. The 018, which I don't like, I'm selling because I just don't like them. I don't really use the 018s and the 017s anymore. They run out of gas too soon. These are my two primary saws, the 025 and the 210, both fitted up with quarter pitch carving sprockets. This is an older saw, which, yeah, I'm probably selling. That's like more of a firewood saw. The exhaust comes out the side. It's a super loud saw. Yeah, it works, but I don't really need it. And this would be my blocking saw, the Steel 026 Pro, and that runs 325 chain, and that's what I like to carve with a lot on bigger jobs. I have big bars for that run the 325. The Canon bars run the 325, the 16 and 14 inch. And there's the old E15 bone stock 3/8 pitch, and I'm running Pico chain, the Oregon style of Pico chain, or the 3/8 low profile. 3/8 is 3/8. You can put small 3/8 chain on a big saw, big sprocket, as long as your bar is not too fat for that chain. We can make a video on that too, but I collect a lot of chain. I have a kit in there for cutting chains and setting chains, and I can pretty much do anything I want here out of my shop. This was, you know, this was a minimal investment. I mean, that's like, there's the old compressor. I have to have a good compressor. That's like 80 bucks for one of those, $50 and $80 for that tool. It's a chain breaker, chain riveter, all in one. And here I have piles of rivets, presets, repair links, and so then I can cut my own chain, I can make my own bars, and that's what this is all about for me, is being 100% well-rounded. But I can take a stock bar and put it on any one of these saws and still do that carving with only a couple other tools. I would use a torch, and I'd have a drill. I'd probably use the drill for making the eyes, and if, you know, being broke, this will work with a drill. It's a router bit, and I just feed, I kind of U-shaped it so it cuts an eye hole. It's slow. It cuts slow, but it definitely works. And then you get into the higher speed die grinders. You see there the big burrs. I use the big burrs on the D800 and the D600. And there, under there is my eye tool, and another type of burr on this one, pencil tip, just for doing like the letters and the welcome bear. But yeah, it's kind of, you know, it's kind of my little tour of how I do things, just some cutting basics. So hopefully that helps, guys.